So I'm going to, everybody sees that, I assume, right?
Yep.
I'm going to talk about 5 secrets to winning with Gartner, Forrester, and IDC. Those are the 3 big firms and all the other analyst firms. There's actually about 1,200 analyst firms. Some of them are individual people, and then they go up to the big firms like Gartner, Forrester, and IDC, which most people have heard of. So I'm going to talk about some secrets to getting those guys to work for you. So let me introduce myself with my fuzzy picture, which I didn't realize till just now. I actually am clearer than that in real life. But I am an analyst relations expert. I manage analyst relations and all kinds of other functions in B2B marketing. I did my whole career in B2B marketing right out of college. And I did about everything you could do in that world, for all those years. And then came upon analyst relations, was asked to start a program at the company I was working with, and loved it because I didn't know much about it. But I found that very quickly, all of the various experiences, from the most strategic things I had done to the most tactical things I had done, were coming to bear in presenting and liaisoning for the organization with the analyst community. So I felt like, I was like home. I was there. I'd always been a kind of a jack of all trades and master of very little. But it was like, this is my thing. I can really focus on this. And that was about 15 years ago. And that's what I have done. And I have been in thousands, I don't know if it's thousands, it seems like thousands of interactions with Gartner, Forrester, IDC, and other firms. I mean, probably after all these years, it's gotten up to that many. So I really know what it's like to interact with analysts and how a firm can take advantage and benefit from analysts, because there's many different ways. I am the author of a book, Analysts on Analyst Relations. It's a brainchild I had to actually talk to analysts, the people that we work with, about what is it from their perspective that it takes to do analyst relations really well. So the book is chock full of information about analyst relations from the analyst perspective, from the customer perspective. And I also work with the University of Edinburgh and do a research on the state of startups and industry analysts. We're just starting the 2024 research and I'm going to, I'm not going to talk about it in this particular case, but we do have a whole research report and information of what we found when we studied what is going on between analysts, startups, and investors and accelerators in the ecosystem, and looked at the 360 view of that whole ecosystem of interaction. And I have a report. So if anybody wants that, I'd be happy to send them the report from the 2022 version that we did of that research. Okay, so enough about that, way more than about that than you care. I'm going to talk to you about these secrets. So these secrets are things I've learned over time. Wow them and they become advocates. So people, talk about strategies and relationships and this and that, and it all comes down to interacting with an analyst in a way that impresses them. And I work with my clients all the time to tell the story, tell it in a compelling way, and tell it in a confident way with authority. And if you do that, that is the beginning of all the good things, the coverage, the mentions, getting in the magic quadrant, placing well, doing even better. It comes from your ability to get on the phone with an analyst and really wow them. And I don't mean marketing speak at all. I mean with content, with your story. We work a lot with storytelling, for example, where I believe when you're meeting with an analyst, you tell them who you are through the guise of a story of a customer. So we met with Carrie, and she had these problems, and we helped her deal with these. We helped her overcome these problems. We helped her become the hero. And you talk about yourself in that vein. And analysts are very engaged in stories. Everybody's engaged with stories. We want you to show thought leadership, show how you deliver customer value, and differentiate in a very factual way. These guys are kind of knowledge geeks. They really want to understand a space, and they're not going to be swayed by any of your marketing messages, but they will be swayed by the proof points, the facts that you show them. So my favorite little customers is a case study here. Tiny vendor, punching above the fighting weight. And what they did is regular impactful briefings and engaging discussions with analysts. They wowed them because they had great ideas and they were thought leaders. And they got coverage, mentions. They become the go-to vendor. So this is a quick, easy thing that you can do is really understand how to present to them and wow them. The next thing is Magic Quadrant and all the other, et ceteras. Take all hands on deck. I have a vision here, an image here of the Magic Quadrant, and people think this is like the pinnacle of analyst relations, is getting on the top right. And in a way it is, and it is a big part of it, is get that brand exposure to the market. That's what most people are aware of. But getting into that and impressing the analysts and getting onto that chart and onto the top right is usually a year-long project. It's not like just when the Magic Quadrant comes out, we all jump on it and work. And when the project launches, we work on it then. We're working all year long to understand what the analyst wants and understand their perspective and give them a lot of facts. So my client here, we're scaling up in a well-defined space. They were in a space that had a Magic Quadrant, which is not true for a lot of companies. And they understood, really got into what the analysts thought and what the analysts thought about them, and gave them a lot of information and facts. And that helped them outperform in the Magic Quadrant. And they fully leveraged it in sales and marketing. So it takes all hands on deck, and it is a really special effort that I'll ask if anybody's been involved in one of those projects when we get to talk. The third thing is close your wallet till there's clear ROI. I am forever talking brands off the ledge that are wanting to spend money with analyst firms because they think it's going to give them coverage and give them good advocacy with the analysts, and it doesn't work that way. Analysts from the reputable firms do not care what you spent with them. They really want to know you, and you need to use money wisely if you're going to get ROI from it. You have to know what you're buying and why, and there's only 2 reasons to spend money that I believe with analyst firms, maybe 3, but the 2 are to get insights and research. If you want to learn from the analyst and you want to do that in a deep way, you need to have a commercial relationship with them to read their research and do inquiries with them. The other thing is content marketing. Most analyst firms, not Gartner, but pretty much all the other ones, will help you with content marketing. So if you have a goal to put something out there to drive brand awareness and demand generation, getting a third-party piece written with an analyst, not about you, but about the space and their position, then you associate yourself with that brand, can be very strong. There is also an argument that if you are competing in a Magic Quadrant or a Wave or a MarketScape or another analyst report, that having a commercial a subscription with them does not give you any guarantee of anything, but it does give you more time and more quality time with the analyst. And if you use that time smartly, it can help you with your positioning on those reports. And never buy results. If it's pay to play, run away. And then a typical client will not buy any subscription or do any engagement. And then this one client found that the firm that they really connected with, and they did a brand campaign, they did content with them, and they developed a case study. The analyst firm developed a case study that actually led to, because an analyst firm kind of gave their blessing on it, led to a significant opportunity. All right, my favorite thing is let AR fuel your development engine. So You want insights. Analysts will give you insights. They'll give you ideas. They'll give you ideas for your products. They'll give you ideas for your company, for your roadmap, for your partners, for your messaging. And those insights are really, really valuable. And I have to say, most of the companies that I work with and have worked with in my past underutilize that. They don't value the insights. And what the best companies do is they evaluate, because you're not going to certainly do everything an analyst says, but they evaluate all these nuggets of gold that analysts will give you, and they make action plans for the things that make sense. And that drives result. So we had a company that did this kind of regular analyst engagement. They really focused on that, and they did deep, impactful inquiries, and they made sure they took action on the insights, and they grew 6 times in 3 years. They were a consulting firm, and the analysts, through insights and through deep discussions, really opened up new markets for them and new business opportunities, and they ran with it. So think of analysts as an extension of your brain and use them for that. And then the fifth secret is that categories aren't categorical, meaning category creation is a huge topic in the startup world and in the mid-size, in all technology world, I think. And when you're going to find yourself either in an established category, you're in CRM or you're in cybersecurity, and there's reports and things that you can compete in. So you're an established category. Or there's not an established category that you do, but there's an adjacent category that you can fit yourself into and compete with the analysts in that space. Or there's no category at all that you fit into, which means if you want there to be, there's a lot of work in developing those relationships to develop the need and show the need for that category and develop it over time. But I worked with a small vendor. There wasn't a category fit for them. But what they did is they found an adjacent space, not core to what they do, but part of what they do. And they messaged to the analyst about that space in different ways than they messaged broadly to the market for a minute, for a while, until they got into that report. They got really well positioned in the analyst for a key report, and it actually changed some of their go-to-market. They started to pursue that part of their business. So actually working through with the analysts impacted how their business worked. What about AI? So this are the secrets, but I just want to touch on AI. I didn't have a secret about AI, but I want to share with you that I think AI is something on everybody's mind. Everybody's wondering how it impacts everything. So for buyers, the people in technology firms that are buying, AI is causing huge disruptions in everything. And it's the #1 inquiry topic that analysts get about every single space, is understanding how AI is impacting it. So it has driven up analyst uptake. Their inquiries are up. You can't even get a hold of an analyst. They're so busy helping these buyers sort out this very disruptive space we're in right now. For the analyst, I wrote this book, Analysts on Analyst Relations, and I had a whole chapter about AI, about looking at the analyst as kind of the ultimate knowledge worker, and how will AI affect their job? And they talked a lot about how they are using AI in doing research and collecting data and analyzing data, and it's helping them. And it's actually affecting some of the programs told me about a problem, because they've always had junior people do those jobs and learn how to be an analyst by working with the data. And now they're having to adapt to this sort of new world, a new way of working and developing people into analysts. So it was very interesting. In the book, we have a whole chapter on that. And then for analyst relations, for the people like me, for the people like, some of you that work in companies doing the analyst relations job, I think the biggest impact of AI is that if you want to do analyst relations really well, you understand everything that analysts is saying and doing, and you're really on top of that. And that's very hard to do manually, but AI tools can help you collect everything this analyst has said about a particular topic and learn from it. So it helps you in the analyst relations world sort of elevate your job from just, sort of administrative, which it is sometimes, to really getting into the content and being much more strategic. So I think AI is having a role in analyst relations like it's having a role everywhere. Okay, so it was a little bit long, but basically that's it. I wanted to just leave a message that analyst relations can have some really huge impacts on your business, and I'm happy to talk about that in the discussion. And your business model, stage, and priorities define how analyst relations will work for you, and even if analyst relations will work for you. And that's what my specialty is: talking to people, talking about businesses, and talking about business priorities and objectives, and how you can use analyst relations, how you can apply it to your business. So there's a QR code and my email address, and I'm happy to chat with anybody offline after the call.